The CEOs of the big three issued statements on the heels of the announcement being reported, the reduction or the relief, if you will, being reported, lauding the administration for the move. We know that behind the scenes, of course, obviously automakers were lobbying the administration for quite some time. President Trump has said this several times over the last several weeks, that he was, he hinted, if you will, telegraphed that he would give some type of off-ramp or some type of relief to automakers with the promise that they'll onshore more manufacturing going forward. Now, that's from the White House, at least, that he said that that's the reason. He said things like they need more time, et cetera. So on the balance, this seems to be positive for the big three U.S. automakers based off the statements that we've gotten. And for the White House, they get to both claim a victory, saying that there could be onshoring of manufacturing later on, but also that he's been in some ways benevolent with the tariffs.
I think one thing that is interesting to me is that we're getting some news about foreign automakers as well that do business here in the U.S., Keith. And the reason I bring this up is because the president has touted companies such as Hyundai coming to the U.S. to make vehicles. But if my understanding of this is correct, these foreign companies that are manufacturing vehicles in the U.S., which I think is what the president's goal is, they could also be hit?
Well, I mean, you know, the one thing to keep in mind is that foreign manufacturers have been building cars in this country for over 40 years. Your Toyota is coming from Kentucky, your Subaru is coming from Indiana, your Honda is coming from Ohio. The biggest importer of cars to the United States is General Motors, America's #1 automaker. They import more cars to the United States than Toyota, Mercedes, any other company. So the notion that, you know, it's a zero-sum game, that cars that come into the United States are foreign. Well, those cars have names like Chevrolet and Dodge on them. So they're not foreign. They're U.S. brands. They're built outside of the United States.
But at the same time, there are companies like BMW and Mercedes that look foreign to American consumers, but those cars are built, some of those vehicles are built here in the U.S., Keith.
Absolutely. Alabama, Mississippi, throughout the South, Volkswagen, you name it, just about anybody. Hyundai has said they're going to double their U.S. production. Hyundai Kia is one of the biggest importers. After GM, it goes Toyota, then Hyundai Kia. So they're going to double their production, investing $21 billion in the United States. President Trump is looking for more announcements like that.
Okay, well, speaking of announcements, Mario, the president is set to deliver remarks tonight from Michigan, the heart of the U.S. auto industry. The messaging here, I think there are outside analysts who would argue that he's essentially going back on what he's imposed or what his administration has already talked about. What's his messaging around this going to be later?
Well, his messaging will be that he's done all of these things in his first 100 days to benefit the blue-collar worker, even as polls show that the president is losing support and the confidence of Americans, both specifically on his economic plan, as they've been rattled by the tariff rollout. He's going to tout, I mean, he's going to Michigan to announce what we're talking about right here with the some of the tariff relief, and again, to characterize it as saying that he's there for those working class voters. And one thing that is striking is that we haven't seen, this is the president's first real rally since he's won the election. So we see the White House starting to get him back out there in order both to sell the tariffs, to pivot toward this reconciliation package, this tax bill that he wants that he's billed as the second prong of his economic relief to Americans, and then also to interact with voters again and try to raise his standing at his political capital.
Keith, we got some news from General Motors earlier today that they're pulling their earnings guidance for this year. It's a theme we've seen across industries, but for autos specifically, how have the tariffs thus far affected this industry, and is today's change going to kind of change the future of that at all?
Well, the automakers are certainly hoping that this relief will make the future less dire. They were very, very concerned that full tariffs on parts would really break the bank. But it is already affecting things. What has happened is there's been this rush to dealerships as consumers head out and try and get cars before the tariff prices hit, which are expected to come this summer. So there's this big surge. March sales were up 11%. They're running high again this month. There was this big surge in sales that is expected to then taper off when the tariff prices hit this summer.